We arrived in Cairo 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Sue wanted to go to the Tent Maker Street, which specializes in appliques. We went to the center of Cairo. It was quite exciting. There were bumper-to-bumper traffic, Egyptians all over the place, vendors all over the place. We did get to 10th Street, and Sue purchased 3 appliques. We met owners that visit the U.S. once a year. The guide also gave us his favorite food right there in the van as we drove back to the hotel. The food was delicious. Name Koshary, one of our best meals on the trip. The first thing in Cairo we seen was the pyramids. The Giza Pyramids, the last ancient wonder of the world. The height of it is 480 feet tall, 750 feet long at the base. 2.3 million blocks to build it. It was awesome. We rode camels around it. I entered one of them. It was a great time, and it was more impressive than we originally thought it would be. From an old Egyptian, I purchased a map where the Holy Grail is buried for only $300. After I bought that, they wanted to sell me one of the pyramids. I wonder why. A cute little Egyptian girl took these pictures of me. She was about 10 years old. She only charged me $4. Also, there's a short clip of the light show that we've seen coming up.
Whose tombs they are have crossed the ages. Their glory has defeated time.
This is the tomb of
Khufu. This is the belly of the king and queens. We've seen several tombs, Ramses, Tutankhamun, and many others. Very impressive sight, very hot. Sue's starting up the walkway. See her catch her hat in the wind, she's really coordinated. goes waving to everybody. See you on top. This is more of a close-up. There's Sue starting up. This structure was built by Hatshepsut. She was the only female that became a pharaoh. She started off as a queen. Also in Luxor, we visited two temples. One was the Temple of Karnak. That was the biggest one. The statues were amazingly tall, so cool. The columns, which were hundreds of columns, amazing. It is as impressive as the pyramids, if not more impressive. The writings on the columns, the height of the statues, the monuments, all honoring gods done by different kings. Very impressive. By the pictures, you might be able to see some of the heights with the people standing on. It's hard to believe how tall everything was. These next snapshots might give you an idea of how tall the statues and columns are. The next video coming up is called the Avenue of the Sphinx. It goes from Temple Luxor to Temple Karnak, over a mile. There's hundreds of them, and they're still uncovering them. I tried to put appropriate tunes in. The one coming up is called Shout to the Lord. This is an old Coptic church built in the 4th century and finished in the 5th century. It is where Mary Joseph and infant Jesus rested when they were fleeing Israel. Underneath the church is the caves and where the manger was. We weren't allowed to take pictures. We went for a cruise on the Nile, a dinner cruise. Here's the entertainment that was supplied. The belly dancer is a little overweight if you ask me. This is a tamarisk tree. It's all one tree. Where Moses, the first stop when they led the people out of Israel. This is where you read in the Bible the water was bitter and Moses threw his staff or piece of tree into the well to sweeten it. Even down there is still part of this one tree. Here's the wells coming up. Very interesting. Very interesting how the tree grows so large and far. Here's Sue coming up, looking at the tree. Oh, she's turning her head. She sees the video coming. I said when the people were led out of Israel, actually Moses led them out of Egypt. We arrived at St. Catherine's about 6 o'clock to have dinner with the Bedouins. We ate in a Bedouin tent, and they supplied a little entertainment. Unfortunately, in that area, there are no good hotels, and the hotel we stood in was terrible. Next tune, Here Comes the Sun. There were 22 of us that climbed to the top of Mount Sinai. This trip started 1 o'clock in the morning. As you would know, this is where Moses seen the burning bush. The hike was exhausting, very steep. 5 people in the tour did fall. One dislocated his finger badly. The mountain is 8,500 feet tall. The higher you got, the less oxygen there was. It was tougher than I anticipated, but we made it. It was a 3-hour climb. Take a look in the right-hand corner of these photos. Could that be another burning bush? I was way too tired to walk over and take a look. Catherine's, the oldest monastery in the world. This is where the burning bush is represented. Here's the picture of it. Petra, Our first view of it was from the road. It appeared to be like the Grand Canyon. It was so cool and amazing. To get to the opening, to go see the where they lived and the library and all the carved out rocks, we had to walk through the canyon, which you see in the movie that Indiana Jones rides through. That canyon, to my surprise, was about a mile long and narrow. It was quite a sight. I believe I'm using the wrong word saying canyon at this point. We're walking through a pass that leads to the canyon where the treasury and where the people live. The canyon's very big. It feels like it's about 100 degrees out. The pass is about a mile long. That's what Indiana Jones rides through. The treasury is the first thing you see when you come out of the walk. Then around the surrounding areas is quite large. You see how the people live, stairways going up to the canyon are the caves where they live. It was very hot that day. Sue didn't want to use up all her energy, so she rode a donkey and then a horse back. Of course, I only rode the horse back because Indiana Jones does not ride donkeys. Next tomb, the Promised Land. This is where Moses first seen the Promised Land. He also said he could see the Mediterranean from here, but it was a vision, you really can't. Also, this is where he was buried. The map shows you where Bethlehem, Jerusalem, the Dead Sea, etc. is in relationship to the view. This shot's the view they had of the Promised Land. This is just a tomb on the road that looks like Jesus' tomb. The rock is still in place. I thought I'd show it to you. This is where Jesus read from the scriptures and then announced that he was the Messiah. The high priests were outraged and tried to throw him off the mountain. He walked right through them. The town underneath it is Nazareth. This is the view of Nazareth right here. Floating on the Dead Sea. It's amazing how buoyant you are. Once you're floating, it's hard to get back up. Your legs keep popping back up as you're trying to stand. Valley of Armageddon. I expected to see a desert, especially the way the book of Revelation say the end of the world will come right here. This boat coming up is one of the apostles may have had. oldest boat in the world found on the Sea of Galilee. Next tune, the Sea of Galilee. This is a ride on the Sea of Galilee. The church you see is where Jesus appeared to the disciples after his resurrection, one of the spots. There's a rock in front of the church that he was standing on. In the song coming up, the woman waving her arms is our tour guide. We had a little trouble with her at first, but we ended up working it out.
I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way from the earth to the cross. My debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high.
Fabulous. By seeing the Sea of Galilee, you can see how the towns, Nazareth, Jerusalem, how they're located, and how Jesus would have been able to get around. Sailing across the Sea of Galilee would have been pretty easy also. In this arena, Christians were fed to the lions. You could see the hose where they kept the lions in the pens around the arena. I believe this place is called Cassara Martintine. There's Sue giving me the thumbs down. I'm glad there's no lions around. This is where the devil tempted Jesus and promised him all the riches in the world, which naturally Jesus refused. But this is the mountain of temptation. He also was baptized in this area. Close-up of the church on the mountain of temptation. This is Masada. The Romans attacked them, and it took them 7 months to build a ramp to get up to the mountain where they were. They used rock, wood, and sand. If you could see it, the amount of sand and the height to complete such a task is fantastic. As I said, we're in Masada. Everywhere you look is an incredible view. The story about people committing suicide here after the Romans attacked them is in a lot of history books. There's also a theory that they actually were killed by the Romans. The theory was that they committed suicide at one time. Now they're saying possibly the Romans did kill them. They fought to the very last man alive. Fantastic. Here we are in Jerusalem. This is just a quick view. I'm waiting for the tour guide to retrieve her cell phone. Absolutely fantastic. Words can't describe being here. Okay, I'm pretty close to the Wailing Wall, as you can see. Here's some snapshots of the square by the Wailing Wall. The military you see in the background, they're all carrying rifles. I believe it's some kind of initiation day for them. Probably new military people coming on the force. This is where King David's tomb is. We just barely could get in. It was very crowded. The Jewish people take this site very seriously, and they were all praying around the area. This is the inside shot of the upper room. This site is built over the site where Jesus gave the Last Supper to the apostles. I also took some pictures of the outside of the building. The Romans actually destroyed the site when they invaded many years ago. However, being at the actual site is quite emotional. We're happy to be here. This is the miracle of loaves and fishes, where he fed the 5,000 people. He was standing on the rock in the picture. The tomb coming up is the Holocaust. The Holocaust Museum. This tour took 3 hours. It was good in parts, but way too long. Also, the tour guide tried to put a guilt trip on everyone, saying that America and other countries didn't step in soon enough. They could have saved more lives. I was very unhappy with that. Next tune, Lead On, O King Eternal. Church of the Nativity. They still kept the low entrance door to keep with customs. The place where Jesus was born. Absolutely beautiful. The altar is fantastic. You have to go downstairs where you see the actual spot where Jesus was born, marked with a star. You see Sue kneeling down in front of it saying a prayer. It was really fantastic. Sue did buy a nativity set here in Bethlehem, hand carved, made from olive wood. Here's the main altar. The Pope will be saying Mass here tomorrow. We'll be going into the Catholic part of the church now. the Romans got word that Jesus was born, they wanted to kill him, so they killed all the newborn babies born at that time. They found bones in the caves here of all newborn babies. Today we're taking the walk that Jesus took when he entered Jerusalem. From here we could see Jerusalem, we could see the wall around Jerusalem, and we could see the double gate that Jesus entered the city. I'm sure Jesus seen the wall in Jerusalem from here also. We're going to go by Mount Olive where the Church of Agony was built. We're also going to see the Garden of Gethsemane on this walk. I know on Palm Sunday now, Sue and I will always be thinking of this walk. It's quite amazing. Mount Olive is where Jesus ascended into heaven. We're on Mount Olive now. This church is called the Church of Agony. This is where Jesus wept over the city of Jerusalem. The dome is shaped like an upside-down teardrop. Through the window of the Church of Agony, you get a nice view, and as you get closer, you can see the double gate where Jesus entered Jerusalem. There's hundreds of tombs in front of the gate. It's said when Jesus comes again, the ones that are closest to Jerusalem will rise first. It costs $5,000 to get buried here. Garden of Gethsemane, where Judas turned in Jesus, where Jesus used to come and pray. Some of these olive trees are old enough to be the actual trees that Jesus seen and stood in front of. This is the spot where they used to come for water. The height of it is the actual height that it was back in 4,000 years ago. This is St. Anne's Church, the Mother of the Virgin Mary. The acoustics in the church were fabulous. It ended up being a very special moment. The priest coming up blessed all our religious souvenirs that we had purchased on the trip. This is where Pontius Pilate asks whom he should release. And as the Bible tells you, everyone shouted Barabbas. We're walking the Stations of the Cross. The melody you're listening to is named At the Cross, done by Mark Baldwin. Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one of the most holiest places in Jerusalem. The slab you see me kneeling in front of is where they prepared Jesus' body for burial. They washed it, then wrapped it in linens. The next part where you see me kneeling down in front of like a cave is where the cross was. Sue pointed out it just doesn't seem right to take pictures here. She's correct. You see the pushing and shoving that's going on to get our pictures and to get in line. It almost feels like a sacrilege now. How can we describe being here? We can't. This is the garden tomb. All indications look like this is the actual tomb that Jesus was buried in and then arose. Joseph of Arimathea had given Jesus this tomb, a rich man, which it says in the Bible. Jesus was a taller man, and it shows that they needed to carve a little more room out for his feet. Also, it shows that there's two seats that the angels were sitting in. So, it appears that this is the actual spot. Here's the outside of the tomb. Also the inside, where you could see the feet were carved out a little deeper. Also, there's a spot where you could see the stone laid and how it would roll into place. And there's also another spot that shows how they would have sealed it. So it does look like the spot. How do we know? They say the Bible tells you so. It talks about the weeping chamber, which this tomb has. It has everything that the Bible says. This is the wine press found. As we said, it was a vineyard. Just more evidence that this was the actual spot. Skull Mountain is also across from the garden, and the Bible does mention Skull Mountain. This vacation ended up being an endurance test. 12 to 16 hour days. We seen everything. We ended up having communion at the end, which the tour company supplied, and they gave us wooden goblets carved from owl wood. The vacation, now that we're rested, we realized was a trip of a lifetime. Fabulous. Hope you enjoyed the video.